What do you mean we're late? We're never late. We're always on time.
Exactly.
Every week. Yep.
We are always
Hallelujah.
punctual.
Blame mud, blame mud. Blame mud, blame mud. Damn poop.
Way
Good
ahead.
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Order in the Court.
Welcome to the long-awaited courtroom episode of Tales from My Wife's Son. Episode 26, Hung Jury. That was fun. This evening is finding everybody well, as this episode has been long overdue. Who would like to recount the events of last week?
Well, do you want us to tell the explosive onion or just the dinner?
That's entirely up to you. Though I do believe that you got lots of time spent on dinner, so let's not dwell on it too much.
I'm just profoundly upset by the fact that in that latest picture that Ritualist drew, it looks like Jeff might have, like four legs and one arm.
No, in the last picture of downtime, basically Jeff is just lounging in a chair, having a drink, watching you, supporting you while you exercise.
Oh, I can see it now because of the silhouette, right?
You can see the little ball with the fruit and the straw.
Mega Logi's banned. Fuck you, I don't know you anything.
Essentially what happened after we arrived to town, dealing with bureaucracy, we had the dinner with the representatives of the church. We both settled for some downtime stuff, shopping, making onions explode, and in the last few days, sleeping, reading, cooking, exercising. Nothing too special.
Sorry for being late.
And now we are here at this lovely courtroom. Us accused, completely innocent, not guilty of anything.
Not at all.
Having to defend ourselves against the vile state. So, I think that's about wraps it up.
Very happily put.
Attorney at law.
For goodness sake. Okie dokie. Well.
I'm back.
I smash my meaty hand down on the thing in front of me and I go, let me just open by saying, I didn't do shit. Thank you.
Then everybody clapped.
I clapped.
You hear a familiar order!
Oh boy.
So that's
As
about
you
it.
see the return of your long-awaited associate.
Hello, Bob.
Bobby.
Udex, there you are! It's about bloody time!
Hello. Sorry, I was looking for some smokes.
Get over here, man. Get over here. Court's nearly in session. The judge will be here soon. It's at that point that she enters into the chambers. All rise for the Honourable Justicas High Grand Adjudicator Susano.
I take a knee.
Please ignore that this version does not have the hat, as it was drawn in post-production.
I can see.
Wonder who
All
did
hair
that.
out. Hail Chancellor Susan.
I wonder.
No, it's Judicator.
Oh look, she shaved her mustache. The pencil one from the last episode.
Some edits were made. There is
Some
a
sacrifices.
there's a heavy clank as the various guards positioned around the courtroom stand to full attention. So, the Let this court be brought to session. And let our allies be brought to bear. That accent wasn't there before. In any case, let us begin these proceedings. For the representatives from the Mages Guild and the Springlight Adjudicatory, please be brought forward. It's at that point, a pair of seats before her seem to glow slightly. You see a number of runes etched across the surface of the desk glow. A number of attendants off to the side chant something very softly under their breath, or one garbed in flowing copper-coloured robes, the other in these intensely intricate, interwoven, braided cloths of a fairly high-ranking mage, and both of the familiars of these guild representatives are summoned into being. One, a simple sphere of bronze, Polyphemus-like, skittering, with a pair of vestigial-looking wings and a tiny little decorative sword clasped in one of its wiry hands. The other, the result of a pair of ravens twirling around one another and fusing into one larger, red-eyed abomination. Clearly a fairly potent summon. Work of the Mages Guild. Their respective attendants retire to the back chamber as court is called to full session. You notice that the prosecution is worryingly absent.
I look at the lawyer. There's the prosecution. We're supposed to prosecute ourselves.
I have a hunch, but I don't want to say what it is.
Yeah.
You were primed ahead of time that the representatives from both Mages and Engineers Guilds would both be in the prosecution team.
Your Honor, it would seem that sorry. Would seem that the prosecution is a tad late.
This court is disappointed but barely surprised. Be that as may, it seems that it is up to us to put our judicial forces to work. And she'll trace a small symbol on the desk, and in a lurch of twisting space and crackling lightning, the prosecution is summoned to the court.
Oh.
Hello, you magnificent bastards! I'm Dr. Lakeman,
You fucking cunt.
and this is my good associate. This is my business associate from the Engineers Guild,
I was not informed about this. Don't you dread
BB-88.
fucking good friend's corpse, you asshole.
Fucking terrible.
He might be dead, fuck you. Doesn't let etiquette. Etiquette doesn't count.
When we last saw the man, he was in a perfectly healthy, stable condition. In any case, I can perfectly explain. You see, BB-8 and I were having something of a discussion backstage. It was all perfectly well-meaning, and don't pay too much attention to the dents. There's a lot of high-pitched beeping and booping from BB-88. Be quiet. I'll hurt you again.
Look, I didn't think anything was going to make me feel more uncomfortable than the defence, but bravo, listen. You have made me profoundly uncomfortable.
Perfect. As all things should be.
Now this court is fully staffed. I trust we can continue with this trial. Maybe please have a read. I do believe the full list of accusations have been brought to bear against our good defendants. Though we shall provide nonetheless. And allow me, ma'am. The defendant stands accused of grand arson, breach of probation, conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, perverting the course of justice, withholding information vital to a criminal case in a state of emergency, judicial corruption, desecration, public affray, public intoxication, criminal damage, trespass on royal authority, killing of an endangered species, and loitering.
Yo, I didn't do nothing. I'm just saying.
Don't worry, ma'am. You'll soon see the light of the matter. But
My muscles
time
of
listening.
truth.
Be that as it may. Does the defense or prosecution have any opening comments before we begin in earnest?
Nira will just give it to the lawyer. The letter from very episode 1, when the bounty hunter had on us, and she will just whisper to the prosecutor, "It was a conspiracy against us from the start."
I have a note from my mum that says I can't go to jail because I'm excused from jail.
Yeah, give it all to the lawyer.
We'll take the letter and look it over for a bit. And just say, why, yes, Your Honor. I do have an opening statement.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Now, I may not be a big city lawyer,
Oh, God,
but as far as I can tell, today's case will be one filled with misunderstandings, general incompetence, and a large amount of confusion on all sides. As many of you in the jury know, I only began working here recently, so I hope you all don't mind my struggling today against our brilliant prosecutor from this here fair city of Want. Even so, I swear upon my honor as barrister, and upon the honor of the very Lord Seller, that I will do my solemn duty as best I can, and that I hope this court will prove fruitful in more ways than one.
Doctor will clap sarcastically.
How can you clap sarcastically?
Like I just did. It's more about stance, really. And the prosecution? Dr. Lakeman merely dabs. The prosecution rests. Be that as it may, would the prosecution be so kind as to proffer up their true accusations here? Opening proper statements, please. I'll handle this one. BB-88, if you would. As the little drone waltzes forward, climbs up the side of the desk, and begins projecting, you are treated to an intricate image showing the fire in question. Just so here. Yes. The prosecution would like to make the entirety of the jury aware of recent events. So I know that some of our good common people here don't exactly leave the city very often, so it's only important that you see the full extent of the damage done to our peat fields, of our livelihood. All the work of these people. Their negligence, their pig-headedness, resulted in loss of millions of gold pieces worth of revenue, the total destruction of the ecology of the region, and on top of everything
Objection!
else, enormous
Objection!
amount of loss of life.
Shh.
No. Objection!
Shh. One moment.
My head is an elephant skull, not a pig skull. Thank you.
Don't worry.
No, I want that on the record.
Hold on.
Objection!
I had these installed.
Mm. I'm sorry, but I'd like to know where exactly did you get this image of that region? As I understand from the fire in the background, I understand it had to be recent.
The footage was recorded by the surveying teams sent to investigate the blaze and to put it out finally.
And who were these surveying teams employed by?
The surveying teams are, of course, the sole jurisdiction of the Mages Guild.
And so I reckon that these images here are the result of divinatory magic.
Primarily, yes. Though some are composites built up from lithograph cameras.
I see. All right then. No further questions as of right.
No, Nero approached the lawyer and asked them how recent they are, as she takes out the gift she got from the elves that restore the forest. Ask them what the current state is.
Could you repeat that, like out of character for a moment?
Okay, in normal voice, Nero will just whisper to the lawyer that to ask for the current state of the forest, because the elves that repair the forest have been around, and it's a completely different thing.
And she will just whisper to you, and she'll whisper to you in return. Don't worry, we'll get to that. It's better to let them speak first.
Good.
No further questions as of right now, Yana.
So thus it is that the prosecution alleges that these individuals, not only allowing this fire to spread well beyond controllability, when they had ample time to extinguish it, and thus by their negligence caused such loss of life and revenue, also were aware of what they had done and chose to hide it from the authorities. When the Mages Guild held contingent arrived on the scene, they were informed that these individuals here, the accused, did not know of the center of the fire when they themselves caused it. Thus, conspiring with their own probation officer, who would also be implicated by their misdeeds, chose to shift the blame, looking to base it on some baseless accusations of dark wizardry.
Objection!
I'm fairly certain. Now hold on there for a moment. I'm fairly certain we all know what precisely the environment where the fire started was. Am I not wrong? If I remember correctly, that was a peat field, wasn't it?
That indeed could be correct, ma'am. In fact, the very same peat fields that these individuals working under their employer had mining rights to, the only occupants thereof.
Indeed. So I'd like to position a question to the jury for a moment. Have any of you all ever seen how quickly a fire spreads in a peat field?
Sort of murmuring. There's a lot of murmuring above the jury.
Now I'd like to say that the prosecutor claims that the peat field that my client would have had ample time to put out the fire in a peat field. I'd claim that being able to even get away from the fire before it caused any serious harm to themselves is a feat in and of itself.
Good point.
Considering how quickly a peat fire can spread.
Objection
We literally
sustained.
had nothing to put it out with. There is not
And
enough.
it was kind of an accident.
You can see the doctor smile slightly.
Again, I'm not fully listening because, again, both sides of this make me profoundly uncomfortable. But, what's it called? I heard him fucking say that, that we made up the fucking giant ash nightmare thing. Bullshit. Where are your scryers on that?
Yeah.
A zeitgeist is a simple side effect of major changes to the environment. And when you have an ecology destroyed so quickly, of course they're going to arise. Do you want to know anything about the Fae?
We even have the catalyst to the thing that it dropped that we fucking summoned it. We've got it right here. We can prove that that thing was there. We even have its like, what would you call it? The reagent, the fucking like, focus or whatever it is. Like, we stopped that giant flaming thing.
You
People
can see
saw
that.
it.
You can see that they're giving you a side eye in a sense that, well, you should have told me about that beforehand.
I trust that all relevant evidence was submitted to this court beforehand, correct?
I believe that I do believe I did tell the court that some evidence might have been forgotten in the moment to be supported by the client, and that they should be prepared for it. I know that doesn't necessarily mean much, but that is indeed what I've told them.
My dear court, if you would allow me, I will supply the evidence in a little time needed. I just need to contact someone. Nira will basically ask for permission.
Everyone will have their time in the stands, don't worry, ma'am. Be that as it may, jury, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hope you will appreciate them. The very best these people can do in their defense is a few half-hearted would-be gotcha moments that they have been holding in reserve, hoping to catch people off guard, when all of my evidence was fully given ahead of time.
But yet you don't know about the giant flamey thing.
Oh, I know fully well what a zeitgeist is, sir. I did go to university after all.
Well, I don't, and there was a big flamey thing, and it set a lot of fires, and it damaged a lot of things.
What you were witnessing wasn't actually a fire giant, as you put it. It was in fact the Fey spirit of the area being burned alive, and thrashing around in anguish.
I'd like to point out that the prosecutor is currently discussing things with my client instead of myself. And while I understand that he may be talking out of line, I would say it's rather unprofessional to entertain the discussion.
Objection sustained. Do you have any other words? The initial statements, prosecution. Only that these individuals, in their zeal to avoid prosecution, have lobbied with every group that will hear them out, seeking to avoid the king's justice. And I hope, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will treat them with the contempt they deserve. The prosecution rests. Would the defense like to counterpoint?
Indeed, I would. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if there's one thing that has been proven by the brilliant prosecutor Dr. Lakeman and his description of my clients and their actions, it is only one thing, and is this: they have made some mistakes. I do believe that's clear even to I do believe that's clear even to the most feeble-minded. However, most of the accusations made against them are either some kind of misunderstanding or a result of gross negligence by the law itself in regards to my clients. If you allow
Objection!
The prosecution objects, ma'am, on the grounds that most of this is merely conjecture as to the intent.
Yeah, can you
of
prove
these
intent though?
individuals.
Oh, I'm
See?
not talking purely about intent. I understand, my dear prosecutor. I understand that my clients might not be all there all the time. But I do know that they ain't malicious, and I do know that none of what they've done are crimes as severe as you're trying to accuse them of. Now, if you allow me to explain myself. Most, as I've seen it, most of the evidence provided here today has been by the diviners of the Mages Guild using divinator magic. I doubt, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that I have to bring up the previously quite dubious nature of these magics. Why, I can remember.
Objection!
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Hey, can I say something?
Please go on. Go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
so we were making money by harvesting stuff from that peat field. Why would we intentionally set it on fire? It doesn't make any sense.
that's precisely the point I'm getting to. And as for the hearsay, I do not believe it can be considered hearsay, considering the amount of time it has been noted. It has been noted that the statement of diviners has been compromised due to dominatory magic of the enchantment school or simply mental illness. Do you want me to get the court? Do you want me to get the court records up? What do you say? What say you, Your Honor?
I feel it would be certainly appropriate. Precedent is very important these days.
Indeed, Your Honor.
All right. You see that rule, Bill? To have the papers prepared on people that have on the records of diviners having been affected by domination or mental illness, either poison, mental illness, and other such things, either as a long-term thing or as shortly before the trial in question.
You unfortunately can only have the functional notes of one set. Much of yours have been left in the back room by one of your interns. However, the one you do have details a diviner who, believing himself to have been contacted by the deceased spirit of the Lich King Tar-Baphon, spent an entire year covertly undermining the legal system before hurling himself from the battlements of the city walls. It's only upon his death that things were investigated.
For example, this case this previous case here regarding a certain diviner who, quite hilariously so in my opinion, believed himself to be possessed by a former Lich King. I could bring, and I'm sure that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury do have probably heard of one or two of these cases in the past themselves. But this is the most notable example of the reliability of the Mages Guild diviners.
True. Well, if that'll be all in the initial statements, we can begin to call witnesses. So, prosecution, if you would. The prosecution would like to call its first witness of Thok.
Hey, Squiggle cunt. I got this.
You are escorted up to the witness box by the guards, who you actually finally get a good look at what they're armed with. These are garbed in multiple layers of plate and mail and wielding heavy halberds.
Make me think. There we go. Sorted. What's up?
So, Mr. Friedrichsdottir, I believe?
THOKKK.
Very well. Thok, son of Yelin, Thoksmutter, who took a new name from your wardship under her. What would you say is your upbringing? Exactly.
Well,
Objection, relevance. Excuse me.
Actually, that's a good point.
I shall do the usual.
because my
Objection!
upbringing was that I grew up.
I would like to object on that. Due to relevance in this case.
Sustained. Doctor, you will cease to rely on such basic trickery. Please get on with it. We haven't got all day. Very well. So then, Thok. He practically spits the words. Tell me, what were you doing out in the peat field that day?
Me and my friends were out doing basic labour to help shovel things and just generally do what's told for a basic bit of earning to buy our dinner. And support my mother.
I'm quite sure. Now tell me, please. Why would Yelin Thoksmutter be wanting for anything, considering her long adventuring career?
Because I'm at the age now where I should be paying dig money, even if I don't need to. It builds character.
You were clearly raised well. However, that doesn't prove from the facts of the matter. Can you tell me what occurred on that day out in the peat fields?
Well, I'm a bit hazy on it, but I'll say as truthfully and as best I can. We were out doing general work, and we were set upon by 4 individuals, 3 of them being hired guards, and the leader, an older man who I can't really recall what his deal was, but he was a ghoul. And he made claims about things that weren't true, and they started to get violent. And so naturally we defended ourselves and things kicked off. We won in the end.
So you're saying you had an altercation out in the beet fields?
It was
Yeah,
self-defense.
do remember you are under oath, sir.
It was self-defense. As far to my recollection, it was self-defense. We had every right to be working there, and they came along. They started stuff, tried to make us leave. We said we wouldn't leave, and then they got violent. That is what happened to the best of my memory.
Tell me, sir, what were the beginnings of the altercations? What was the defining factor? Did they offer up any identification?
They claimed they had right in the area, but I checked with the people we were working for, and they said it was all viable. Like, we were perfectly allowed to be doing our work there because it's something we've done in the regular. They just came over and started crap, and again, the guy was a ghoul. Like, it just, ugh. It was all very sketchy and very, very dodgy. Again, you could take anybody there and know that the guys were fucking up to no good.
It's a little bit presumptuous of you. Be that as it may, you do understand the gravity of the situation when I quote you subsection D, Article 13 of the housing regulation of this proud country we still have. Namely, in the event that someone believes that any kind of construction, be it quarrying, but including limited to quarrying, building of new structures, gatehousing, toll booths, and any other structure relating to profit. If there is any doubt into the ownership of the land, a clamour may be called. And if a clamour is called, or if in any way the invading party is to be impeded by the potential and assumed owners of the land, then all work must cease.
Well, that's all well and good, but again, we don't know the things there.
I would like to point out that what you've said there is assuming that both is a law that comes into action, assuming that both parties are willing to go in. While that might be the law, Thorke has quite clearly stated that the party of which encountered him and his fellows got violent, and thus they were forced to act in self-defense. While that law might have applied had they not had no violence broken out.
I also would. Sorry, I just wanted. Sorry to interrupt my own defence, but I also want to point out that me and my friends were there as hired hands, and we were told by the man in charge that what was called, we had every right to be there. These guys were talking rubbish, so obviously we go with the word of the foreman. If all that stuff you just said, that's got nothing to do with us. We just do what the boss was telling us to do, and we were just again out there to work. And then again, they get violent, self-defense. So if you want to talk about the guy coming and basically finding out what the source of the dispute is, you're going to have to take that up with my employer at the time.
Don't worry, sir. We shall do just that after this.
You heard, as he said, Jerry. Well, I cannot say I approve of being interrupted. He does have a point there, wouldn't you say? I'd say that had no violence broken out, then the section D would have been followed through just nicely.
Regardless of the events, it is the right of any landowner, be it confirmed or otherwise, to defend themselves in the event that the clamour is not followed. If a clamour is called, all work must cease until such a time that a court may be called, and that proper ownership of the land may be established. And this in mind, it is stated, anyone causing a false clamour will be subject to harsh penalties by the courts themselves. And seeing as the poor unfortunates involved in this altercation happen to be deceased, well, that's a court case for another time. I don't specialize in homicide. Be that as it may, young man, please tell me, how did the fire start?
Well, again, there was a lot of people fighting a lot of people, but I think
Nira will raise her hand if she can fill in on that exact detail.
you got to wait till it's your turn.
The defense does not object to anything that has been stated, but would like to make a comment via its client.
Aloud.
Or to call Nira as a witness.
In due time, ma'am. Please continue.
Well, I can't recall how the fire broke out.
Listen,
but it,
memories indelible to the hippocampus. Recall.
what does that even mean?
I don't know. Ask Christine Blasey Ford.
Bruh.
Okay.
That was the nerdiest joke we made of making the show.
I don't recall how the fire started. I think it might have been because obviously I couldn't pay attention to everything what was going on. I believe it might have been one of the other workers that happened to be there at the time. A certain Earth fellow. What was his name again?
Woodman.
Woodman. I believe I think his name was Woodman.
Woodman,
Again,
wildlife fighter.
he was always a bit sketchy, that one, and we haven't seen him ever since. It was always not quite right. But again, when things were done and sorted, there was no big fire that looked like we had anything that we should have dealt with at the time or anything like that. Again, we were mainly fighting in a bunch of peat and stuff, you know. Again, that's how I recall it. It was a long time ago, and I also want to point out I didn't deny having an involvement with the fire. I just was completely unaware that we had any involvement with it. Again, I live near here. My friends live here. My family near here. Why would I want to start a giant fire like that?
The prosecution will rest if the defense would like to interview him.
Yeah. The defense would like to begin its cross-examination. And just to be nice to you, Noka, I'm going to do this in my normal voice.
Okay, thank you.
Because I know you have trouble listening to me for some reason.
It's just like the lady voice thing that sets me off a wee bit. It's just that fucking southern drawl female accents fucking oh, that does it for me. And then when I hear you do it, it fucking really upsets me. Not because I enjoy it. It's just like it's like uncanny valley sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like
Fair enough.
Oh God.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fuck off. Fuck off. What the fuck?
You're being judged. You're being judged.
The defense.
You don't know what I'm like. Shut up.
The defense would like.
Nothing new was said here.
The defense would like the familiar of the major skill to calm down. Okay. So, we'll move up towards Thok. I can't actually move her token, so I'll just say that.
Yeah.
We'll move up to Thok and say, first, she'll kind of lean forward to him and quickly whisper, "Just remember, I'm on your side in this one."
Okay. Also, I want to point out, for the sake of the thing, I am not lying when I'm saying this. I am saying everything to the best of my recollection.
People are doing sensibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The jury is always murmuring amongst itself.
The
That will walk up and begin. So fuck. Just imagine it's the same voice, but it's the best I can do.
I know. I'd rather not, but okay.
So fuck. You say that. So let's make a few of the basics clear. You said that you had been in the peat fields as a job.
Yep.
Specifically, well, what exactly was the job? Was it simply gathering peat?
It was whatever I was told to do. Sometimes it's moving big things out of the way, like a fallen over tree, big rocks, shoveling things. Again, I'm a big guy and I'm quite strong. I'm just manual labour and I do what I'm told. I get paid, I give my mum her big money.
So you'd say that you would say that you had that there was absolutely no way you would have any intent of starting a fire there.
Of course not.
What's your livelihood after all? Way to support your mother.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very honourable and kind thing of you.
I was terrified when the fire broke out. I did my best to make sure my mother was okay, and then other townspeople. And then again, we fought the giant nightmare fucking thing. Like, yeah, of course, I'm not going to abandon my people or put them in any kind of danger. I grew up there all my life.
Good to know. Good to know we have a man of character in court. Wouldn't the jury say?
Objection!
The defendant is neither of those things. Demonstrably so.
I flip off.
Well, according to you, that is. Either way. So, according to what you said, there was a man, or a group of people, was it?
There was 4 individuals, yes. One man on a horse that was running the show. I say man, it was a ghoul. And 3 mercenaries.
Alright. A ghoul, and to your recollection, prior to the fight breaking out, did the individual on horseback, the ghoul, the one you claim to be a ghoul, make any kind of did he make a claim of clamor?
Not to my recollection, no. He said this was the land, but there was no mention of anything like a clamour. The foreman said this was bullshit, and that the guy was talking rubbish, and then things escalated after that and got violent. Again, I'm very hazy on it. It was a long time ago.
I understand. You're certain you can't remember. I understand that it was very hazy, but you're certain that you can't remember anything with fire? Anything that would cause the fire to start out?
Again, like I said, I think the only thing involving fire was things involved with the elf person. Again, it was 4 on a bunch of us, and again, my friend Half John was there, and the foreman was there, and everybody was just fighting their own things, and I get very heated in battle. I didn't personally use any fire or anything myself. I know that for a fact. I believe at the time all I had on me was an anchor that I had just brought in case any wild beast turns up. Sometimes it happens from time to time. You beat them away with a stick, but sometimes some things pop up. You know how it is. But fire, I don't recall really seeing how it happened in the battlefield. A lot of things were happening.
And one final question, just.
I recall that you were indeed on patrol. You were indeed on parole, yes? During the events?
Yes, I was there with my parole officer. He was there to oversee, watch me while I went about doing my regular daily duties.
And you would say that your parole officer did indeed approve of the act of self-defense?
Yes, indeed. I believe he would agree wholeheartedly.
That is good to know. The defense has no more questions, Your Honor. But would, however, like to call up Mira as witness.
Bill, I do some of the little hand symbols, form of a midget. Strike me, Bill. There we go. Thank you. Oh shit! Oh fuck! I accidentally just drew a line.
Oops.
You chalking nutsack.
Oh god! Now somebody might know who did that smudge under her nose.
Makes one think.
Jimmy,
So
You are offered up your choice of holy book to swear upon, much as Stock was.
I just pick up a small dumbbell and place it on the counter, and I swear on that.
Oh, I never get asked that. If I did, I never heard it. Oh god! I swear on fucking.
Plasma.
Yeah, Phrasma. Yeah.
Jimmy takes off his hat and starts eating popcorn out of it.
Yeah, I swore in Phrasma, by the way, again.
Okay.
Nira will swear on a pair of weights she has on the side. I swear to Kurgash I will speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So he helped me flex.
Very good.
So, I believe it's a bit. I believe it's a bit early to call it a cross-examination. I suppose the. Jesus. Sometimes I just forget words out of nowhere. I'm sorry.
Filling in the holes.
No, prosecution. There we go. But I believe the prosecution will have to take over that role afterwards. Now then, Mira.
Yes.
I believe you are a foreigner to the River Kingdoms, yeah?
Yes, I am foreign. I am from the south.
So I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say that you don't necessarily know that much about our customs here, as we.
I am familiar with only the bare basics. I needed to run my business in here.
Oh, and what is your
I
business?
didn't cook, for the most part. All jobs here and there.
How interesting. And I suppose it would be prudent to ask why precisely are you traveling with Thok and the rest?
Well, specifically, the town I was visiting was needing somebody to cook for the workers in the field. And since not people wanted to accept the job, the salary was raised. I found it acceptable, and because I need to supply my husband and children at home who are sick, I decided to accept the job.
How noble. I suppose that's why you're traveling in general then. In order to provide for your family back home.
My village does, after a serious plague, does not provide good job opportunities anymore.
My, that's quite. My, that is incredibly noble of you.
It is
Objection!
Not nobility, dear man.
Relevance, Your Honor.
It's necessity.
Irrelevant, Your Honor. My inquiry into young Thok's background is irrelevant, and so is this.
Nah, nah.
Wait, is it though? Because no, this was a question about what she was doing there. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not asking. Oh well, I suppose maybe I got a little. I suppose maybe I got a little bit too curious and into such a noble background. But the reason I was asking was simply to know why precisely she's traveling with the rest of them. And I believe I've gotten a satisfactory answer there. Now, Mira, for your accounts, could we maybe have your accounts of the day at the Peat Fields? How would you say your memory is as to the event?
For the most part, it agrees with Tok on the beginning, and later it fills in the details, especially when the fight started. Right before that, due to digging, there was smaller accidents which started smaller fires, which we did put out. In fact, this was the reason I always had a big barrel of water on my cart where I carry food, for precisely incidents of such sort. But of course, we don't expect to be ambushed. And it was quite a good day, so it was quite unexpected to be ambushed exactly then. When the fight started, we tried our best to keep
Objection!
Tok's brother.
Your Honor, if I could interject momentarily, you should notice that the word ambush has been thrown around awful willy-nilly when it has been established by this court that conversation occurred. No ambush begins with conversation.
Oh, I would have to disagree. So, there were indeed 4 people, but only 3 were in front. The 4th one was on the side, behind my cart, hiding. Tok's brother, who we told to hide himself for safety, has managed to spot her, and flank a woman with the rifle, who was in the end the true source of the big fire. As I tried to defend my friends in the whole melee, I stabbed her, and my sorcerer powers manifested themselves in most unpleasant way. Her exposed the gunpowder ignited, and that was eventually the source of the large fire, which Tok don't remember, and which I remember only vaguely, because after the blast, all I remember is being dragged away with my ears ringing.
It seems it was a dreadful conflict indeed. On that note, Your Honor, the defense would like to present the part of the evidence for which I notified might turn up during the court. And she will present a letter from her folder to the table with the familiars, as I believe that is the evidence table. Yeah. Yep. Now this letter right here includes the notes detailing a potential bounty placed upon Thok and his party from before the attack, from before the peat fire itself erupted. If you would like to read it, and she will unpack it and we give it to the judge.
She perused with a pair of heavy glasses.
I believe you'll find that while it might not prove anything relating to the case at hand, it will certainly provide some context for the situation as a whole.
Interesting. Where was it this note was acquired from?
It was acquired from, I was told, one of the people that we fought. There was one survivor, and upon examining his person, we found this note.
And the location of this survivor? Could they corroborate your story?
Survivor, as I said, was captured by us, so he didn't felt staying. As we tracked to the swamp, we lost him later, along with the. But Nero will now think. I don't know what to roll for this. Shall she say that she knows that it's the sheriff's sons?
Actually, I don't think you might have to roll for that, because the first thing on my inventory list is the Est Calavasso note, the Brandover document, which reads Garrett Kilmarsh.
You all really should have presented this to me before court.
Should they roll percent for this? I don't know. What do you
If
say,
you can
bro?
recall it, then you can. If you can recall it, then go right ahead. If you're looking to recall any particular details, it's quite
No,
nice.
this is mostly a moral conundrum because she remembers it's the son of the sheriff, but the sheriff helped them in tight spots, so she doesn't feel about telling on his son.
That will be entirely up to your prerogative.
Let's say 50-50. Above 50, she will tell it. Below 50, she will say she cannot remember it. I'm sorry, Honor, but the exact how say the word in English, nature, identity of the man we captured is lost to us, and in the confusion we lost him completely later on.
How very convenient for you.
And we'll think for a moment before continuing and saying, is there anything else of note you think you can remember from the situation?
Only that we had to escape at breakneck speed. So very difficult terrain.
I understand that you were knocked unconscious during the later parts of the conflict. Could you, who exactly was it that informed you of these events? Or was it just in generally speaking, your companions at the time?
My companions, generally. In the end, we had to try get our wits together to realize what just the hell happened and who tried to attack us.
Well, very well. Thank you for bringing some clarity to the situation. The defense rests for now.
And she'll move back to the desk.
So, the prosecution will begin its cross-examination now, Your Honor, if that's okay. Let's begin. So, Ms. Nira, tell me, could you clarify as to the descriptions of the people you saw? How number? Any identifying markings?
Yes. The man that led the group was a Gaul clad in black armor, which we had eventually peeled off to see his disgusting nature. The woman that ambushed us behind the cart wore a red bandana and had a gun, and I would say classical ranger outfit. one man was on a very black horse. I think he might have survived, but I cannot be sure because of the conflict. And the last survivor wore the one we captured wore white and red regalia. Specifically, like this, Nira will like take a piece of paper and try to draw the regalia on it.
Okay, could you roll me a craft painting or craft drawing check, please, which would be based if you do not have ranks.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have crafting something, so I don't know, just +3 for intelligence, or I don't know. Does alchemy work?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, then in that case, just plus intelligence.
Unfortunately, it's not a terribly good pick at drawing.
Well, essentially, what I drew on the, it's essentially a stickman.
It's crude, but you get something of the point across.
I am not artistically designed, and this is entirely from memory.
So, you have full recollection of these events, and yet remember nothing regarding the actual burnings. Further, you do not have access to any of the people who were there other than your own group. No other witnesses, apart from what we could gather from scrying.
Well, all other witnesses did try to kill us horribly.
Have you any belongings related to the individuals? Perhaps some trinkets of your excursion?
You'll just give me 1 second to go through my list, if that's okay, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We give the fucking silver Sparta to the fucking John, didn't we? Oh yes, actually, I do have the fucking something from the Nira will take a well-made partisan if Nira has access to her stuff, if that is possible, to order to be brought in.
Those things you can actually, if you give the chit given to you by the guards, it will be fetched.
Yeah. Nira will take and ask for 2 things: a well-made partisan, and for her dumbbells, especially the not the waist, but the shaft in the middle.
The bar.
Yeah, the shaft, and if they're presented, the shaft belonged to was part of the gun the woman used to stabilize on, and the partisan itself belonged to the man in the red and white robes we captured when he escaped. This is all
items in question arrive very swiftly via a pneumatic tube.
Some large tubes, nigga.
What do you think? What, you think these things at the side are just pillars?
Nice. I like it.
The tubes arrive in short order and the evidence is collected. The partisan is noted to be of one matching a description found in the records. That of one being used in banditry, specifically the tassels. Further, the remnants of the stave and of the broken gun are proof enough that the explosion did occur with a great deal of force, and therefore would not necessarily be something controlled, especially considering you were caught in it. So, Nira, if I may be so familiar, tell me, what exactly fused these hunks of scrap together? We take a great deal of heat.
Well, one of them was the spear I have for self-defense. The other was the stave a woman used to balance her gun. Like I said, to the defense, after I stabbed her to stop her shooting at us, my sorcerer powers activated, and electrical sparks hit the gunpowder the woman was using. And eventually, as you probably know, the pit swamp is full of exploding gas, and the chain reaction occurred.
It seems very interesting, considering that the average person who's using a firearm is usually carrying their powder in an insulated flask or powder horn.
Well,
I find it very peculiar that they would not be wearing such a thing.
Well, maybe it was covered in metal and or possibly bronze. And I have been known to conduct electricity through bronze.
Tell me.
Did you see the
What?
message?
Sorry, what?
Objection!
I'd like to point out that you say it's unusual. However, I do not believe that you can know for sure what anyone was doing in those peat fields. As I have seen plenty of individuals, including gunslingers, as stupid as may be, carrying around their equipment in rather hazardous ways. I'd say that considering we can't know for sure whether she was carrying it in an insulated flask or not, it does not change the validity of Nera's story.
Sustained. There be any further questions from the prosecution? Only.
No, sorry.
Tell me, is there no other evidence you have of this so-called ghoul who was all consumed by the flames?
We did see his crest on the remains, and I do believe he belonged to the house. Just give me 1 second. I have this written down, actually. House Gamesh.
There's a lot of muttering around the court, and a couple of people looking very, especially the older people, looking very worried at the name of House Gamesh.
We have no knowledge. Was he a part of the house? Only that the crest was on his person.
Your Honor, is our good honourable jury really being expected to believe that House Gamesh, a prior bannerman of ancient House Calavaso, would in any way be even a partially intact corpse enough to make a ghoul at this point?
Would it be out of suspicion that somebody is trying to frame them?
1 moment. I'd like to do a knowledge history check.
Nero is basically just relating
House
that
Gamesh.
she saw the crest.
Oof.
House Gamesh is a family that stretches back to pre-Earthfall. It's that old of a family. Essentially, they belonged to a bannerman house of what would eventually become House Calavasa, back when it was just referred to as House Khalif. House Khalif was operating in what the equivalent of the Bronze Age would be. It was and is the route to Calavaso's claim to the nation. House Gamesh were noted warlords of the Bronze Age era, and actually came into conflict with the Thessalonian Empire proper, leading to their almost utter destruction. There are no known scions of House Gamesh anymore. There haven't been for thousands of years.
Hold on.
Objection!
Are you certain that it is House Gamesh? Nira. Ritualist?
Yeah,
Hello?
sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Can you maybe tell more about Hazgamesh, because I'm only familiar with small stories.
Well, I'm just wondering, well, the very short rundown of House Ganesh is that they used to be they were a house of quite notable warlords prior to the Starfall. What I'd like to know, Nira, is, are you certain it's House Ganesh?
Well, if they are from so long ago, that might explain their presence on the field. She will ask for one more item from the court. Her bronze sword.
There's a shuddering from the pneumatic tube, but there seems to have been a blockage.
That's odd. Because on that day, we made the most interesting discovery in the pit fields. She will look at Rags. Rags, would you be so kind to hand us the cloth you're wearing?
Yeah, I'll produce the saber-tooth skin that I have. Not only that, the one that was recently identified as the tiger's hide.
This, Your Honor, have we found on that day, digging through the pit fields. I suspected that they possibly maybe they have been looking for this, but this seems like an old skin.
It is very kind of the defendants to admit desecration and make my job that much easier. The prosecution rests.
Wait, how is it? How is it? Desecration?
Interference with a dead body without medical license is considered desecration, except in the event that it must be moved for health reasons.
The guys who tried to attack and kill us?
No, you.
Well, he is a paladin, and I can heal people. Do we need official license?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. After seeing this, we'll for just a second show a not too happy face, but quickly got off.
Nira will give her the look. Truth, nothing but the truth.
But we'll put on a smile again, as usual, and continue by saying, well, regardless of where it came from, it does add some legitimacy to the story in the sense that I dare say you don't see a saber-tooth that often anymore. However, and okay. Oh, sorry, having a bit of a still brain at the moment.
No worries.
Bill, is the evidence of the sword stuck somewhere in the tubes?
Yes.
If the car would be so fine, could they maybe check the tubes for issues? I believe there might be something stuck.
Very well. The court will hold a short recess whilst the tubes are fixed. Back in 10 minutes, people. That'll be 10 real-life minutes starting now.
Oh.
And Letta will call all of you to the next room. Over. To basically the waiting room for the defense.
Interestingly, that takes the waiting room to the courthouse is fairly well known because it's actually an old bathhouse.
And she'll even take off her shoes and dip her toes while she sits down next to the pool, having all of you gather around her.
Mitch is typing.
Oof. Get away, servant called Mitch. Alright.
Brother, I require some narco berries.
She'll look to each of you as she sits there and say,
I believe it's possible that the jury is currently still neutral towards you, and I think some of them might like you, but that might just be wishful thinking. A more pressing concern is the fact that I believe you all forgot to give me quite a bit of evidence before we went in here today. I made steps to make sure that it's still viable in court, should it happen, as I thought it might. But you have to understand that just pulling one evidence out of another into court is going to take away some of the legitimacy we have.
In my country, we just present evidence as the conversation goes on. We don't exactly have fancy legal systems you have here.
I suppose that's fair. Well, if that's the card we have to play, that's the card we have to play. Because all of you, here's what I imagine will happen once we step in there. Either the prosecution is going to continue pressing on the Peak case until each and every one of you are interviewed, examined, so to say. I believe he's not going to do that in order to get anything more out of this. Because at the current moment, I believe the judge has probably made up a mind on the matter of the beat fields. As unless we can bring in some more evidence or another witness, there's a chance that it will be deemed a act of negligence or some kind of accidental crime. Any one of the 32. So what I suggest we try to do is to try to draw focus away from that case more or less done. Any more focusing on it is going to cause you all to be in a worse situation overall. As currently our story is your poor souls making a couple mistakes out in the peat fields while you're trying to defend your right as workers from an evil ghoul. It's a cliche story, but it works. It certainly has the attention of the jury, especially now that you brought up old Ganesh.
Yeah, also that's what happened, so that helps.
I believe you. I'm calling it a story. I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm calling it a story because that's what it is. That's what I have to call it as a lawyer. Because if I call it the truth, I'm gonna seem arrogant in it, and that ain't gonna help us with the jury. Because that's what you all are riding on. You have to understand. The jury. Because the jury is the only part of this court that don't want you all in. If you understand what I mean. Oh. Well, talk amongst yourself, I suppose. I'm going to console it. Do that in real life as well.
Same.
Well, I guess downtime should have been spent on fucking court preparation.
Only a small thing. Are we going to talk about a giant skeleton man? I feel like that's probably like a pressing concern at some point. No one?
About what skeleton?
There was a giant skeleton person behind a curtain. It was somewhat after the whole burning thing, but I feel like maybe that's worth mentioning.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Does no one remember that part?
Deposition? No, I don't.
And then there was that giant flame skeleton. No?
I remember the giant flame skeleton. Actually, it was gone. Yeah.
So there was a giant big boy, and then I just left.
I think I was really drunk, or no, Nuka beat me in the face, and I got knocked out.
Oh yeah, no, that's entirely likely. I know. Ragava wasn't there because he'd been killed by God, because he rhymed too much.
So some of you guys were the only ones conscious for this stuff.
Well, no, because I just had to look under a curtain, and then there was a giant skeleton man there. And then suddenly
inside the cave, the thing the church, the thing I think.
Have we mentioned? Have we mentioned this?
Get to that part yet? We're just talking about the fire in the bog.
Because I feel like the fire in the bog, as far as I'm aware, it was either it was like one of three events, which was Thok swinging around his fire club. Then there was the bit with whatever his name is, Napalm Sticks Kids, chucking a bomb in it.
Yeah.
And then there was the one with the woman with the gun.
Oh fuck! It's been like a year. Shit. Or it feels like it's been a year.
As far as I'm aware, I was the only person trying to benefit out, so I am safe as fuck, my friends. Good luck. I'm literally a fucking god.
To do with any of this shit.
I am pro conservation. That's what I am.
I literally didn't do nothing. So you're all on your own. I just have to be very clear. Also, I think fucking wizard guy probably have some mage guy probably some in there. Dan.
Jimmy wasn't even there.
Look, I don't like you. You disassociate yourself from me. I'll disassociate myself.
What are you talking? What are you talking?
Oh please do.
Jimmy
Please do.
I didn't have anything to do with this shit.
Honestly, the more you disassociate yourself with me, the better I feel. So we're all good.
Nothing, officer.
Hey, Dom, what are you talking about? You're in the jury, though. No, you're not a court trial.
Hey, Tom, how's Minecraft going?
Well, that's good.
Fucking Frogman Bashir.
Probably on level, so I think.
Fuck's sake.
I just there we go. There's Bill's bi-monthly fucking death. Bi-monthly or semi-monthly? What? Semi-monthly is 2 times. Oh, it's 2. Okay. No, I thought it was mid. That's 2 times.
I don't care.
45 seconds remain.
Well, again, I didn't do nothing. I don't associate.
She didn't do nothing because
I
she's
do not-
stupid.
I
I didn't do
disavow.
nothing because I'm a good boy. And we're all good.
Yeah, fine. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. I didn't do it because I'm stupid. Fine. I'll go with that. That's my plea.
Doctor, I don't read, I'm dyslexic.
TBH, if you want some last minute advice, the stupider you all look, the better you all are. Because
I am-
that's it.
I'm a coward and I'm afraid of fire. I think that puts me in a nice position.
Literally, if you all seem serious advice, if all of you except maybe one or two of you seem like borderline retarded.
Okay, so Nira doesn't seem borderline retarded. There you go. And probably
Okay,
Rashad
so
doesn't seem borderline
plan is
retarded.
simple. Plan is simple. We need three blue caps with. Please be patient to have autism.
Dude, I have
Return to the
autism.
Courtroom, please.
I have dyslexia, it's different.
Alright. It seems we have to go.
Oh god, every now and then you just
Be
turn,
sure
you
to
go
admit
back.
that you can't. None of you can read. That'll help then.
You might want to move Let's back
Oh,
to
no.
this, by the way.
I'd not drink Gamer Girl pee. That is not canon.
Jingji, in fact, everyone notices this as you walk in. The jury has descended into boredom, and
good.
that's this way. People are just talking amongst themselves. There is a paper aeroplane that's being thrown back and forth between ends, and let me just one thing.
It's important to note to the jury that the sooner you give a not guilty verdict, the sooner you can go home.
Yudik shall look to Bobby.
Yes, man. What is it? If you want to quell them, quell them. It's your prerogative. You're a free man-ish. As free as I am.
Oh, it's a bullshit.
At this point,
Could you all be quiet, please? I'll roll an intimidate check on that.
Okay.
Oh my god, that's what the picture is.
Wow.
Immediate silence descends. Everyone sits back down very carefully, and the paper aeroplane just drifts through the air before spiking downwards into Jingji's hair.
Oof.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Go ahead, you can call the witness this time. I'm in no rush.
Very well. I believe there's one sound figure that we should hear out for this matter. Rigabe Kikuyo. I'd like to call Rigabe Kikuyo to the witness.
Kakiko.
Kakiko.
Oh, there's
very well.
racism going on.
I don't know, it does sound weird. I rarely say it myself, as the case may be.
It's almost like it was the default regen thing on the sheet, and you kept it anyway.
Well, yeah, because it's amazing.
It's pretty strong, to be honest.
No, no, yeah, okay.
Especially because quo is Latin for where, so it's like cocky where.
Having seen your armor and your different insignias, a book of Kyrgyz's workout routines is brought up for you to swear upon. The book is proudly emblazoned with the words Jehovah's Fitness.
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Fitness, lovely.
Oh, kill me.
I'll continue to run this joke into the ground.
I'll put my hand on the on the book, on the Kyrgyz tome, lift it a couple times, and then swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Very good. The witness is sworn in.
My reps depend on it.
the entire jury joins in the amen of praise gains.
Flex on them niggas. And monetization losses.
Make it monetization.
Would the defense like to ask their questions, or would they just like to settle for demonetizing our videos?
Good news though. I don't know if you guys read the YouTube thing that just came out, but their copyright system is a lot better. Gonna be a lot better now.
Oh damn.
Oh, believe
Really?
in them.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, along with Dom
We'll
to a
see.
certain extent.
Anyway.
Hell yeah, play Minecraft.
So, Regave? Can I call you Regave?
Yeah, it's my name.
Well,
They're using emojis
well-
on their fucking Twitter.
as I understand it, Thok was your charge during his probation.
Fuck, yeah.
Thok, yeah.
Fuck.
Yes. Tell me,
Alright.
of the accounts of the peat fields, just to simply round out events, as you understand them, do their accounts agree with your memory? I understand you were there as well.
Yeah, I think everything seems to line up pretty well. There was a lot happened that day, especially. My memory's not 100%, of course, as no one's will be. Obviously, it was a very trying time for us being accosted like that, but yeah, things seem to line up as they've been presented.
Just wanted to say please autism.
I love it. So it's just please on.
Look, in all fairness, I can't read, so it's okay. I don't agree with it.
I hope you appreciate this. Please don't.
You can tell the Richest writes from left to right because he went, ah, that's run. And then last one's like, ah, fuck it, plays Alton that day. He's got a small head, so it's okay.
Autism, please.
In that
Oh
case,
god.
The break
Speak
just
sad.
ended. Okay. The break
Does
just
it?
ended.
Sorry, what did I miss? Sorry, I got some bad news there while I was doing stuff.
We all contracted autism.
The
Yeah.
plan is for you all to be, considering how the court has gone. The plan is for all of you to seem as
Just pretend to be retarded.
to be
Just
as
pretend,
friendly
guys.
as
Some of us don't have to pretend, you know.
You do a great job, Regave. That's
Literally.
It is very daring if you just attempt the Gump defense.
literally.
I can imagine us saying this out loud right in front of the courtroom. in front of everybody.
Just pretend to be retarded, dude.
Just to show how stupid we actually are, we say this aloud.
I
Playing Candy Chess.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a crumb of autism? I need some.
can't.
I would like to call the witness the communal chromosome.
You
It's
don't
too
have,
traumatized to speak.
you don't have to act like you're retarded if you are retarded.
That's smart thinking.
It's not actually.
You're actually a moron.
Fucking brain here.
Is there anything major I should know in my
Other
absence?
than pretending to be retarded, not really.
Okay.
Things
But
just
because
seem,
we are retarded.
Kate seems to be going forward, I suppose. Anyway,
I like the choice of the words.
the shield. Let will look to Regave and say, in the we've heard a lot of what happened during the peat fields, and some of what happened before that. However, in the interim between the actions that occurred on the peat fields and you arriving
in town, I understand there was quite an amount of activities being had.
There were. Could you be so specifically? You're asking about the time between when we left the peat fields and when we returned to town?
Indeed.
All right. Yeah, there were activities.
Very well. Would you care to detail some of the events?
Just for clarification, this is our defense lawyer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the defense lawyer because I'm trying to make you say some of the good things you did in between.
Well, let me see. When we left the peat fields, we started heading back towards town. We stopped at an old abandoned church. Because we had, I believe I forget to whom the church was dedicated, but it was abandoned, and we went inside, looking for assistance, and inside we found a creature that attacked us, and we slew it, some kind of a monster. After the monster was slain, we returned to the town. There seems to be a lot of odd things happening in these parts of the world. A lot of bad stuff out there. It's a good thing that we were around to get rid of it. Who knows what terrible things could have befallen someone else had they been the first to arrive at this church seeking...
Objection!
Conjecture, Your Honor. Sustained.
Indeed, but good to know. But it is good to know that the memory remains intact after the events of the peat field. Wouldn't you say?
Actually, it's not conjecture because it didn't form a conclusion, but all right.
If there's any proof of autism.
Let me see. Well, moving swiftly on from the matter of the peat fields. I would say, as his probation officer, how would you say Thok is? Would you say that any of the claims against him are reasonable?
Just for the sake of clarity, remind me what the claims against him are.
Plentiful. Basically, that would have to be specifically towards Thok, and some of you, the rest of you as well, would have to be grand arson, breach of probation.
Grand arson for what event specifically?
The forest fire that broke out in the peat fields, as we recently discussed.
It certainly didn't happen with any malicious intent. The only malicious intent was on those who accosted us. It was because of them that we're here.
So, as his, I understand former probation officer now, but would you say that the claim of... I understand that you are in reality his former probation officer, at least temporarily, but having once had him as a charge, would you say that during your time the claim of that he had breached his probation is reasonable?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because he went to a source outside of the court's order and jurisdiction to have the seal of justice removed from him without consulting myself or the court who gave the seal.
Objection, it was the heat of the moment, and again, the seal was put on because of violations against the church. The church forgave me for the problem.
So what you're saying is it was a heated ogre moment.
Ah. That brings me to my point. Thank you. That does indeed, however, bring me to my point. Your Honor, sorry, I lost the accent for a moment. I will indeed admit that my clients are very passionate individuals, and that in the heat of the moment, they can occasionally do things without giving it any proper thought. However, as I have illustrated here today, generally speaking, any claims made against them is out of a misunderstanding, born from this passion of which they have.
I think I can elaborate on that to a point. I don't think that anything that Thok did, especially recently at the church, was done with any ill intent. I think that Thok sincerely did believe that, in a way, he was atoning for something bad that he had done in the past. And I certainly don't think the repercussions of what he did registered to him at the time. But what he did was certainly done in sincerity. Of that, I don't have any doubt. He did go to the people that he wronged. So, in his mind, he thought that was its own kind of, I guess you could say, I'm trying to think of the word here. Making up for it, you could say. It was done outside the court order. He shouldn't have done it. It was a foolish thing to do, but he was trying to do the right thing, just in a way to rules that he wasn't aware of.
To add to that, I would also like to add I had no intention of skipping the court. I always made it clear I intended to come to the court. UDEX will back me up on this.
Yeah, I can confirm that as well. We did make plans for this a good 2 weeks in advance, and we have been scheduling all of our activities from that time forward to be here specifically, with this event taking priority over everything else. That's why we arrived so early, for starters.
Thank you for serving as a character witness to my point, Rakabe. What I'm trying to show here is that while I cannot deny that some crimes and misunderstandings and accidents have taken place, I do not believe that the severity of the accusations against them hold ground. And I believe I can prove this. And I believe that but before that, I also do believe that those who have attempted to do that, the majority of the evidence presented against them to and claiming the severity of these accusations to be as severe as they are doing so based on divinatory magics, which I believe I've already illustrated isn't exactly the most is not a reliable tool at the best of times.
Objection.
Your Honor, this has been proven time and time again that the divination and magic, in some cases not just channeled through arcane means, but peer-reviewed by the entire divinatory board and by the church representatives, is more reliable in 90% of cases than even eyewitness testimony, and backed up by lithographic images. So I do wonder exactly what the defense is attempting to imply by insinuating that there is some kind of discrepancy in the divinations.
Enjoy the image. It's not much, but...
Okay, you see that roll, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
That
Okay.
wasn't supposed to be seen, but whatever.
What else? Okay. You have the paperwork to hand.
Mm-hmm. These rules are primarily to show that I do have the paperwork at hand.
Mhm.
Because it's difficult to have all this in actuality beforehand. So
You have multiple examples, specifically Sterinsky et al. Versus the Crown, where it was found that the divination board was taking bribes for what is then purge.
What I'm trying to show you, what I'm trying to imply, Your Honor, is that while the results of any divinatory magics done by the Mages Guild might indeed be peer-reviewed, they are peer-reviewed by corruption. Now, anytime I do this profession role, I generally assume it's profession barrister. By the way, Bill, as I said before. So I'm generally assuming that these are actually things I have presented as potential evidence.
Yes.
And thus as I have, and that I would like to present evidence I have prepared that I gave to the court for approval beforehand of the
Where's my sword?
corruption and lobbying within the Mages Guild.
Where's my sword? Have they unstuck it?
There's a strange sense of like all the hairs on your body are like standing on end. There's a very odd taste in the air.
Nero will give it the slip to the sword she had from given by the guard. She'll give it to the lawyer.
And the bronze sword is recovered heard shortly at this point, in fact, and presented to the evidence board. So specifically to the deputy judge.
Mm-hmm. As you can, I believe we'll finally be able to get to the last bit of evidence from the Peatfield case in a moment. But let me finish my point. Over half of the evidence presented by the prosecution is based on divinatory magics from the Mages Guild, of which has multiple times been proven to not only be lobbying within themselves and to other parties, but also to show corruption within this very courthouse in the past. I believe that this shows that any divination performed by them is unreliable at best and obstructive at worst.
There's a moment where it looks like people are going to object, and then they worryingly don't. There's almost a glance between judge and prosecution.
At this point, I'll finally start. I think I've finally been talking for long enough to where I can do my proper diplomacy check.
Mm-hmm. Please do.
Can I assist him because of the testimony?
Yes.
I believe most people who have witnessed so far can aid me.
If you've been a witness, you may roll diplomacy.
We doing this, boys?
That's good. Wish I hadn't rolled shit, but whatever.
I got you, fam.
Could Nira and Thok also roll diplomacy? Okay. Could you roll diplomacy? Just to aid.
God, I know, I'm trying to figure out what my diplomacy. Oh, it's just a flat 0.
Yeah, just roll a 1d20 if you beat it.
Above average. Okay.
Let's give it +2.
+2, so that is, unfortunately we can't use Rag's roll. That is unfortunate. I wish I'd rolled better. Wait a second. I have an ability for this, I remember.
We can't use my 33?
No. but I have an ability.
Explain this bullshit.
I have a natural 20.
I will use. I have an ability for this. Yes. Charmer. I get to roll one more and take the better result. Once a day. $35.
35 plus 2 from each of the others.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose I wouldn't be allowed to cast a spell right now that would improve my charisma or help with charisma.
Does the spell have somatic or verbal components?
Actually, I don't know about that, so let me see here.
Because if it has either, you'll have to do a sleight of hand to hide it. Otherwise, it's obstruction of justice.
Question: is it the natural 20 some extra bonus?
I will lower the DC at my end, don't worry.
Okay.
You look to the crowd, one man is wearing a tunic that just says, "I heart muscles." He's sweating visibly and audibly.
Does he has a red bandana all over his head?
Yes. he is clearly of Tolkien descent.
Oh,
He is clearly a man of the persuasion. This diplomacy roll isn't necessarily the end of the case, by the way, but this diplomacy roll is basically to
help sway the audience.
Yeah, help sway the audience.
It's basically the social equivalent of a performance combat check.
Mm-hmm. And if at all possible, it might sway the court's opinion on divination. And if we get a good opinion on the divination, that will render the prosecution's over half of the prosecution's evidence, I believe, null and void. Well, as near null and void as you can get.
Come on, Bill, roll.
Oh, I've been rolling. Don't worry. People seem to be. If you can roll sense motive, you can try and read the room.
Yeah, I can.
Perception checks as well, please.
Does rolling fucking perception trigger fucking warp chart? We just
No, it doesn't. Only physical maneuvers can cause any kind of warp chart events. Perception is.
Rags, was that your perception?
No, that was my sense motive. I cannot sense the motive.
Jing-Ji, oddly enough, is able to read the room perfectly. Things are swinging in your favor.
They say, Rags, you can't send shit in the courtroom, but you think that dog you saw outside when you were coming in might piss against your favourite tree. And you're not happy about it.
Jing-Ji says out loud, "Holy fuck, they believe our bullshit."
What did I roll to sense myself to know that I'm right?
If only you had a phylactery of faithfulness to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. And with that, if the prosecution don't mind, we can turn to the last piece of evidence presented. The sword.
I believe I will handle my cross-examination first.
Fair
Don't
enough.
worry, I'll keep it nice and brief. I am a big fan of concision. So, Mr. Kakikwo, I believe that's your name? Tell me, are you and your compatriots of good moral standing?
I believe so. And we try. No one's perfect, but I think we. I can only speak for myself, though. There's a lot about my companions that I just don't know. We like to keep a lot of our private lives to ourselves, but I know that I certainly am, or at least I try my best.
Yeah, I'm a man of mystery. Nobody knows anything about me.
Yeah, I can't make broad moral character judgments
I
for them.
believe. I'd like to ask the prosecution where exactly he wants to take this question.
Oh, it's quite simple. I'm asking, in your position in your prior position as a probation officer, as an officer of the law, is everybody in your group that you travel with of good legal standing?
Well, this is a different question. This is a good legal standing, and I suppose that's what we're here to find out, isn't it?
Do you have a definitive answer?
Are we in good legal standing?
Yes,
I think
I'm
that's-
asking.
I'd like to ask the relevance as to this that this question has as to this case in particular.
Quite simply, I'm questioning the perceptive abilities of our good friend here. Whether there's anything he might miss, perhaps he's aware of that may be of importance.
None that I'm aware of.
I call Kyrgyz to the stand.
Roll me a bluff check.
I was kidding.
Not you, him.
Me? I'm not bluffing, though.
You are trying to conceal that Jingji is a kleptomaniac,
And has stolen things in the past.
which you have.
Oh, her?
Do you want to argue that kleptomania
Not
is
to,
a disease?
not to mention Thox, almost constant murderous rampages, you're pretty sure that most of the chemicals near it is ingesting are illegal for human consumption.
I literally had no idea
This is
about
why
Nora's
I'm an
consumption.
elf.
Yeah, I have no idea what Nira consumes. Actually, I seriously have no idea what she does.
I would like to use my Master Rhetoric ability to do a bluff check to distract from this question without being noticed. for
Also,
this
yeah. Also, I don't have to. I don't have to be a witness against myself. So
I'd like for Let to use her Master Rhetoric ability to take a 10, to take a 20 that she can on one skill that she can do once a day. Like a 20 on a bluff check to distract away from the question by making it seem that it has no relevance to the case, to the bearing of the case. For a
I
total
played
of
the
32.
fifth.
Sustained. Objection sustained. Dr. Lateman, please be prompt. So we call and recess shortly. There's kind of a clear grumble emanating from him, but be it as may. So, Mr. Kakiko, my question for you, quite simply, is this. To you, what happened that day? Who, to your knowledge, started that fire?
who, to my knowledge, began that fire?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to remind our players that that a check to recall memories is a wisdom ability check. Right, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like just in case you think your character would know something that you don't know, that you
Well,
don't.
I'm trying to remember what I was actually doing at that moment. If I was engaged in combat with somebody else.
You can roll a wisdom check to find out.
I think I might have to, because it's very possible that I was probably directly engaged in combat with somebody at the time. So I actually legit don't know for certain. I didn't actually see anything. So I will actually roll that. Let's see. That's wisdom. It's not right. Oh!
You recall, during the brawl, as you were delaying into the bandits, you distinctly recall the explosion. The first of two. The first was what appeared to be some kind of a handheld grenade thrown by what's the exact phrasing of the name? It's a whisper escapes me. Wildlife, either. The second was indeed Nero's detonation of the black powder.
Yeah, that made
Which-
the crater. I do remember. Yeah, she wrote. Yeah, because there was a natural 20 and it set off the gunpowder, the whole gunpowder stuff, and the flasks of everything on the guy, and it went boom boom.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't that actually someone who used a coin or a token for that one?
Meta thing, but
No idea, but that's basically.
Anyway, but yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but I'll relay all that. You know, I heard, you know, the two explosions. I was engaged with fighting off the assailants. I actually couldn't say for certain. I legitimately don't know.
Now, my follow-up question, perhaps the more important of the two, is what was your immediate reaction to the fire?
I don't believe we would have been able to put it out. So I believe we got the wounded onto the cart as quickly as we could and left to preserve our own lives. We also brought with us one of the assailants, I believe, so that he wouldn't be burned by the conflagration. Also, didn't we? I can't remember who. My memory fails me on just who it was. But I believe we did bring one of the assailants was injured. And we saved him. We saved his life instead of leaving him there from the fire. And brought him with us for a time.
Which I do believe matches up with the account said by Nera, does it not?
Oh, good. I'm not imagining things.
So no attempt was made to extinguish the fire.
It would have been an attempt done in vain. It was beyond our ability. It was self-evidently a hopeless endeavor.
The prosecution would like to bring up a testimony from the location gathered via a Speak with Dead spell, Your Honor. And I quote directly from the corpse's mouth. The figures that stood over me stood beside me and waited a full 5 minutes whilst the flames grew. Then they fled.
So this is the body of someone who tried to kill us. That's obviously an extremely biased witness, don't you think?
Your Honor, I would remind the court that the spell Speak with Dead does not take into accommodation the thoughts and intentions of the original owner of the body, only the body itself as a storage of knowledge. It is as best a piece of information as one could expect.
We didn't just stand there for 5 minutes.
I will use Master Rhetoric to send Master Rhetoric to take a 10 on the bluff check, which she can do anytime she wants. To basically look to Ragave and say quiet. Like she looks to him and gives him a look of quiet.
The spell interacts directly with the brain of the body and harvests the information, pouring it magically through the mouth. It does not take into accommodation the intent of the original spirit, as it is already departed. Our Lady Pharasma's loving embrace. There's the sickliness to his smile as he kind of holds his own chest in a very saccharine display.
Objection!
The defense would like to remind the prosecution that a Speak with Dead spell, if fully successful, does not take into account the wishes of of the corpse, which is the target. However, if the spell is not fully successful, which tends to be very hard to tell whether or not it is actually successful, the lingering hatred and or confused feelings of the corpse can affect the answer and cause it to, for lack of better words, lie.
Objection sustained. At this point, the prosecution is visibly upset.
This will conclude my cross-examination, Your Honor, though I would like to call my own witness. Jingji, I believe her name is. You can take the stand. Jingji, I do believe it's Jingji Megir, correct? Daughter of Ruslan Megir? Would I be correct?
Aiden, are you there? You're muted.
Aiden, I hope you're there. I'll just...
Aiden, have you passed out in your chair?
Oh no, she had a stroke. Oh wait, what?
I told you.
Is it on our end or?
The chat is saying RIP F.
Who said the
Oh,
N-word,
that's
Naka?
because someone said, I can't believe Aiden is fucking dead because you were muted. I believe.
Yeah, I was just fucking muted.
Stream okay?
Stream is okay.
Okay. Sound is off? Question mark.
Yeah, I
No
muted
sound.
myself like an idiot. No, that was me. I keep it muted usually while I'm listening, and then I forget to turn it back on.
Okay, it's back on again.
Okay, it's been muted for like 2 minutes.
Yep. Let's see.
Yeah, I thought you went with mud. But...
No, everyone.
Oh, yeah. I turn up and I hear the remnants of a clang.
Bang.
Alright, we're good. We're good. Our show has improved in quality.
Are we back?
Everyone on stream,
Okay.
I apologise. I decided that I need to kind of, in memory of Sargon streams, become a massive fucking boomer. Thank you.
It's just, it's just
Tell
like.
Weezy.
I was gonna have a joke where a recess would be called so that Sargon's like NPC in the fucking background here could go and make a cup of tea and then have the game end, but time has not been on our side.
Okay, now that we've done shopping, it's now time for a tea break. And now more shopping.
He just went for
Now
tea,
returning
never
to
came home.
QVC. Yes, mate.
Oh, poor
So-
young Danny of a cad. His dad left.
Okay,
for tea and never
apparently-
came back.
Apparently it's a little loud, but I say those of you in the audience.
I'm getting. Oh no, I'm getting boomered. No.
Fuck you.
Okay.
That's when I spilled cold,
Anyway.
cold beer in my naked body.
Be that as it may.
Anyway, recap, yeah? I believe Speak with Dead spell. That was it.
Yep. Speak of Dead
I have
was
that, I
brought up
have
and then debunked. And now Jingji's been called to the stand, and it's been established that she is the daughter of Ruslan Majir.
Oh, why the fuck is it giving me this shit now?
I have no idea how it ended up that way. I wasn't paying attention. As was said, there was all kinds of ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't do nothing. I just associate with all of these people. Yeah, that's it. That's all I remember, really.
Telling Miss Majir. Is there anyone there that hasn't been accounted for in the statement so far?
As far as I can remember, I think that was everybody, but every person's been brought up. But I can do wisdom, I guess, if I don't remember.
Please do. Okay. From your memory, everyone who was there was your employer, which is... The name escapes me all of a sudden.
But we already talked he was there, and then we
Yep.
got attacked by randos.
There was also...
essentially.
And Halfjohn. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone who was there has been accounted for.
Okay.
Tell me, Miss Majir, then, did you have any prior interactions with any of the deceased?
Oh,
Beyond them attacking me? Not really. See,
That's interesting. 'Cause
I've been the assaulted party here. I don't know why, I'm in court at all. I don't understand those.
Oh.
I was new there. I really didn't know the guy at all. So no, why would I? He was going to pay me.
About anybody else in your work group?
I barely know. Well, unfortunately now I do, but at the time I barely knew any of these people. Just taking on odd jobs. Again, I don't understand why I'm on trial.
Guys, do you want to take a sec? I'm trying to fix me. Gonna try and fix my audio thing because it's being not friends with me. Ugh. Sorry about this. Oosh. The issue is the audio jack up the front of my computer is a big yeet.
So I'm gonna quickly pop a rage, and I'm gonna look in the direction of Dr. Lakeman, and I'm gonna fucking pop a dab with all my strength.
He's going to counter dab.
Oh no! Oh god damn it.
There is a like a loud crick noise. Something goes in his back.
I got 23. How much wind within the courtroom is just whoosh? Did I rustle anybody's coat? Was it good enough to knock somebody's
Jimmy's
hat off?
have been rustled.
Good stuff. Yeah, get fucked. Know your place, trash.
Did this actually pick up on the audio, by the way? Is this the test?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it picked up. It picked up on the audio. We're good.
Okay, we good?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Just for those.
Regards.
You bitch. Right. This is assault. Right. This is what the MRA's talking about. It's so sad.
We can add assault along with drug deals to the list of things we've accidentally caught on the stream.
I will fucking end you.
Yep. So I told her to say Nuka sends his regards as you stab him in the hips with your fingers.
Chief, there are going to be some fucking repercussions. There were consequences have never been the same.
Never.
Like, because she's poked your love handles. You fucking.
That is illegal. That is a crime. I'm gonna. There is.
It's only.
How many have to do?
It's
Court
only acceptable
episode part
if you're
2.
Hashtag me too.
Hashtag V2.
Well done, Weezy. The check is in the mail.
You don't have. Naka, don't pull that kind of bluff. You don't have money.
I don't. I really don't.
The check's in the mail. It's the money backing it up that's absent.
20 cents.
If we're back, shall we try to finish up?
We're fully back.
costs more
Everyone
gas
can hear
to
you
go
now.
We are fully back? Okay,
Yeah.
good. We're good to go. Okay. Lost my train of thought now. So, Xingji,
Mm-hmm.
you have no misgivings toward anyone in the group.
I mean, they're all assholes, but
I mean, it's
you
fair.
know,
No bluff check was rolled this day.
like they're all a bunch of dicks. But nah, I mean, it's I didn't have anything to do with it, and I don't have any problem with any of them particularly besides Stock because he's a dick. That's it.
Tell me, Miss Migier, if I just hand this over to the adjudicators and put this before you, could you tell me what this person detailed in this little portrait means to you?
And a little, like, square portrait is put before you, and it's almost like blurry. And you can kind of feel your muscles a little slacken. And that point in your head that just hurts. Your jaw, like, falls at the limit. You can't really control your body anymore. Those of you in the courtroom will see Xingji's mouth begin to move, and you'll hear this.
There's nothing better than when you love something so much that you want to break it beyond any kind of reasonable comprehension or recognition.
Audio needs to be changed around.
Hopefully that picked up. This is why I was trying to make sure the audio...
was very quiet, but I think...
I barely heard any of it.
Okay. Do you want me to play it again?
Yeah, go for it again.
It just sounds like incriminating evidence.
Amp it up so everyone can hear this.
Pump up the gym.
There's nothing better than when you love something so much that you want to break it beyond any kind of reasonable comprehension or recognition.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I can.
I heard that, but I turned it all out.
Have you unmuted the Roll20 page?
Yeah.
Oh, when someone else's audio, it's all okay then, is it, guys? Wow. Okay.
Alright, I have unmuted the Roll20 audio.
I'll play it once more.
Hashtag
Make sure it's turned all the way up, because it is quite quiet.
It is quite quiet.
Pick up your headphones. No one say fuck or bugger.
Frick.
Nothing better than when you love something so much that you want to break it beyond any kind of reasonable comprehension or recognition.
I'm just gonna play it through the stream because I can't, and I can't figure out roll 20. So
It is very quiet. In all fairness, it's quite hard to
Yes,
balance.
it's the only recording I have. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
I thump my fist down on the witness, the fucking stand, and I say, "Objection, Your Honor. We don't know her."
And object. Actually,
can somebody
I
tell me
need to
what it was? Because I literally can't hear it, and I have no idea how
I'll
to.
send it. I'll send it directly to you.
Okay.
but did you see the messages, Bill?
Yes. Since motive, I will message you shortly with what the events entail. But
And an objection.
in fact, we will end it on this objection just for time's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Objection!
Oh God, my ear pussies! Oh, the difference between the fucking clip and that. Oh God!
Oh.
Why?
Anyway.
And on that bombshell, ladies and gents, I hope to meet you all next week when we'll see the thrilling conclusion to the court episode. And from here, Tales of My Wife's Son, Blood of Heroes, a very welcome for you to be here. Thank you for being here with us, and hope to see you all next week.
And for all you who hate my voice, I apologize for nothing. Fuck off.
Hella for sure, motherfuckers.
You fucking cunt.